But then, of course, we might need a hammer, or a bell, or a song. You know this one. Stand up and sing with us.
Sister
doesn't matter if it's a piano or a guitar. She got it going on right there. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Music City. I've got some great news for you this morning. Are you ready? Yeah. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. You know what that means? 6 more weeks of winter. And I'll tell you why I'm excited about that. Number one, I work in higher education. But number two, I realized on the way in this morning that in the Gospel according to Buddy, 2nd chapter, 17th verse, it says, in all things, wag your tail. So I decided I'd be wagging my tail about that. 6 more weeks of winter, bring it on. And welcome on this rainy Sunday morning. We can still wag our tail because we choose to. It's so good to see you this morning. We are a place of authentic transformation. It's who we are and it's what we do. And if you're interested in doing it today, we can probably accommodate that. I've got a few quick announcements for you. I'll tell you what, it's the Susie Wright and the Becky Estorita show this week. We've got all kinds of opportunities for you to continue growing in your spiritual journey this week. On Tuesday, we have 2 events going on. At 6:30, a tarot and astrology event with Susie Wright, right here in the sanctuary. I believe that's in the sanctuary. Actually, I'm just making that up. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in this building, okay? And then on Saturday, Susie will also be doing a mediumship gallery and intuitive workshop from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you want more information about that, please pick up a bulletin. And then also on Tuesday and Saturday, Becky Estorita will be doing empath support this Tuesday night at 6 or at 7. I can't even talk. Let me just go and start all over. And then Saturday, she's got a Valentine's for You workshop, self-care workshop with Becky Estorita at 3:45. You can technically come on Saturday, do Susie Wright's workshop from 10 to 2, do Becky's from 3:45 to 6, and just make a day of it. Spend the night, be ready for Sunday morning. All right. And then on Saturday morning, we've got a really special event happening at 9 a.m. We've got Dave Harrison back there on the back, sound guy Dave. Dave used to run a men's group on Saturday mornings, or on Tuesday nights, actually. I think it was before, but he's going to re-up that men's group. So if you are a man, I'm not going to go there. If you think that the men's group might be something you'd be interested in, let's just put it that way. There is a men's group initial discussion and breakfast, 9 a.m. Saturday morning in the Namaste Cafe. Show up and Dave will be happy to work with you through that. 2 more quick things. Number 1, thank you to everyone who came to the Linville Big Band concert on Tuesday night. Was that awesome or what? And I want to give you the final tally, because what we accomplished that night with Lynn's help and all of her fantastic players is that we raised $525.77 to support the Nashville Chooses Peace Festival that's going to be happening on April 20th. It's the time, folks. If you've been waiting all year long to say, at some point I want to get involved with that festival, guess what? It's today. It's the time. Our next meeting is February 20th. I'll tell you about it when it's coming up. It's birthday Sunday. Who's got a birthday in February? Stand up and let us sing something to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you. And everybody else can stand up and join us. Sing along with us. share with you. First off, special music guest today, Charles Holt is in the house with us. We're always so excited about that. And I've got a few, of course, the Sacred Community Action Ministry is always collecting things. You hear me talk about this on a regular basis. And here's the concern that I have. Not a worry, because I don't worry. Not a fret. The gospel according to Buddy says that doesn't do any good anyway. But my concern is that I say some of this stuff so often that it starts becoming inaudible. Like people stop hearing it. But just to let you know, if you care to pay close attention, that we're still collecting individual snacks, coffee, tea, and non-refrigerated creamers for the teachers at Pennington Elementary. Our special focus this month is the Old Friends Senior Dog Sanctuary. They're hopeful for some Tide Pods and duct tape, and again, we're not going there on that. And then, of course, we're always in support of the Dodson Chapel Food Pantry. So if you have something on your heart about getting involved with that, I know you can always talk to Linda about that. There are also sign-up sheets on the bulletin board. We run that food pantry February 10th, which I believe is next week. Is that correct? And we probably need a little bit of assistance, so you might want to talk to Linda about that. We have ongoing classes, Lunch Bunch Wednesday at 11:30 in the Namaste Cafe. And then, of course, the Wednesday evening class, Winter Feast for the Soul, which has been basically like a big soul bubble bath for me. So if you need that in the middle of your week, come on out and join us at 7. B?
Good morning. See it, feel it, be loved. With the other prayer chaplains, please stand. The prayer chaplains are here to pray with you, to help you remember that connection with the Divine Spirit. There will be a prayer chaplain in the prayer room after the service if you would like prayer. Thank you. Today's affirmation. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. Say it with me. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. It's February, a time to focus on love, the truth of my being. If I am commanded to love my neighbor as myself, it is time to become aware of the me I am asked to love. When I am able to fully love me and love my neighbor, I will be sending out the vibrational patterns to manifest the new earth. The Father, Mother, God, and the company of heaven need my conscious participation in this task. In that way, I become a light worker. A light worker draws life-transforming patterns of light through their own heart and allows them to permeate every cell and every organ of their body. Then a light worker shares that light out into the physical plane with everyone they meet. It becomes palpable. You can see it in their face. You can hear it in their voice. You can feel it when you are with them. So, let's take this opportunity. Let's join our hearts in this room with the heart and mind of Father, Mother, God, the hearts and minds of the entire company of heaven. I am one with the I Am presence. I am one with the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent Father, Mother, God, the cosmic I Am. I am beloved. Beloved, I am.
So I ask that you just settle into your seats. And hear these words. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. And then take in another deep breath. And take these words to heart. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. I am one with the I am presence. I am one with the omniscience of the presence and power. Which means that when I tap into that presence and power, I have all knowing. I am one with the omnipresence of that power. Which means that when I am one with the presence and power, who I am is the same everywhere I go. I am one with the omnipotent presence of the One. Which means that I began to look at my thoughts and my words and my actions, because they are all powerful in every moment. And the place to start is to remember that I am love. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. In the silence. In the silence. I am one with the I am presence. I am one with the cosmic I am. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. Which translates, I am holy. Only goodness comes from me.
Oh is not very far. The song of the sages, the knowledge of the ages is living where you reside. You have the key that unlocks the door to enter in that sacred place you haven't gone before, where deep meets deep, soul to soul. Feel that connection as the truth unfolds. I am, you are, and I am. You are the answer, yes, you are the key that unlocks the door to freedom and leads you to me. Look deep inside you, trust the voice that guides you, it knows the way. Yeah, there's no separation, we're one and the same, a child of the Creator, known by different names. The Alpha and Omega, the eternal flame that burns deep inside you. Do you know my name? I am, from the mountains to the oceans. I am, from the rocks to the trees. I am, all the stars and constellations. I am, you are. A child of the Creator, known by different names. The Alpha and Omega, the eternal flame. It burns deep inside you. Do you know my name? I am, from the mountains to the oceans. I am, from the rocks to the trees. I am, all the stars and constellations. I am, you are, I am.
Did you feel that? That was pretty magnificent. Catch your breath. So know that my lesson today is about more than a pump, and we're going to talk about the heart in a few minutes. But because I knew he was starting with this song, I created the meditation to go with that. And I want you to think for a moment what you put after those two words. Because if you paid attention to what he was singing, it was all very positive, uplifting words. But what I know about us sometimes is we don't add words after that are nice. I'm sick and tired. I've heard that before. I had somebody send me a text this morning that said, I am fighting a cold. Okay. Not sure what that looks like. Do you know how powerful our words and our thoughts are? Because as I said to Judy this morning, sometimes I feel like I have stood up here for 20 years and just talked to the wall. When I hear somebody say I'm sick, I'm like, ooh, affirm that. See where that gets you. I'm fighting a cold. Affirm that. Because these two words are so powerful. And hear me, I forget too sometimes. But today is to help you begin to remember that I am beloved. And beloved I am. If you truly knew that 24/7, what would be different in your life? Totally different. You would reflect that. Your life would reflect that on every level. Every level. Now, in the meditation, I added a few words. You know what that word means? All-knowing. Do you realize that when you are connected to the one presence and the one power and acknowledge it, you are all-knowing? Some of you are going, huh, who knew? That you are one with the divine mind, and that anytime you want to, you can download from Holy Spirit what you need in that moment. Wow. Do you get that? When I finally began to get that piece, it was like overwhelming. And some of you are looking at me like I have 4 heads and 3 tails. Because you're like, how can I be that? Do you believe there is one presence and one power, and that you are that expression of that one presence and that one power, and you can connect? Yes. Yes. Who limits our connection? Are you that one present and one power everywhere you go? Does the same you show up here as shows up at home, as shows up at work, as shows up? Are you truly omnipresent? Do you know you can be? I got 1 or 2 heads, 3 or 4 heads. Do you know you don't have to hide bits and pieces of yourself in places? That you can be omnipresent, that you can be you, fully, oneness, everywhere you go? But that it's okay? Everybody breathe. Do you know that you are all powerful? Some of you are going, some of you are going, Do you know that your thoughts and your emotions and your words and your actions create your world? Do you know that? Or are you just saying yes because that's the nice thing to do? That's politically correct in here, right? Or have you blamed somebody else? I'm fighting a cold. Think about that. Do you know that create your world. Those are the two people that began the unity movement. Many people ask me, how come you decided to be a unity minister and not a religious science minister, and not a Unitarian minister, and not a something else? It's because of what those two people taught. And when I got there and really understood it fully, I went, wow. Because they believed all that. And so their journey was set out to prove it and to model it. And they did. And I'm like, okay, I can buy into teachings of people that did it, not people that talk about it, and then their life doesn't really look like that. Does that make sense? But to people that really, really believed this and modeled it constantly. And that's what they taught. One divine thought, pray, meditate, act. It's the easiest theology and philosophy that I have heard anywhere on the planet. That's all it takes. In every moment is for me to have one divine thought and to pray or meditate on that and act. And that's the way I change and create my world. That's all I have to do. Does that not sound pretty simple? Until you start it, right? Anybody had anything that was a thought that was not divine the last week? There we go. Hence the human condition, right? But the thing about it is we know what to do if we decide to. Sometimes I have to fret for a while. Anybody have to do that? I have to fret about it for a day or two or a week or a month or a year or 5 years or 10 years. And then all of a sudden I go, one divine thought. Where did that go? Where did my connection go to all of this? Myrtle. Many people start the unity journey and they start wanting to dive into the deep end and read Charles, and I tell them, please don't, but they do it anyway. And he's got more books than Myrtle, and he's written more things than Myrtle, and he is a big thing to try to even begin to understand. You can do it. After you understand his whole philosophy, you can do it. But she was the heart of unity. He was the head of unity. Does that make a difference to you on some level? So she had the heart of the teachings. And that's what she did. She prayed herself well. You're going, how did that happen? Number one, she never made a statement, I am fighting a cold. Number one, she never believed something less than about herself. I don't know that I can make this sit up here. Help me. I don't know what you're going to do to help me, but she's my helper. She does it. That's wonderful. This amazing woman went to a talk one afternoon by a person by the name of E.B. Weeks. And somewhere in the talk, and what I can tell you is those people talked for days. Sometimes I am accused of running our service over, because a lot of people want to just go an hour. Go to Enoch Fuzz's church and see when you ever get out. 3 or 4 hours later, they'll serve some fried chicken and something. But yes, you'll be there all day. In the middle of this talk, somewhere, she heard the words. You ever been in the middle of something and it was like cloudy and all of a sudden something came through like, whoop, I get that. And she heard the words, You are a divine child of God, therefore you do not inherit sickness. And she went, oh. Because she was sitting in that service with tuberculosis and a lot of other diseases in her body. And so I can only imagine what that woman did when she went home. She was like, okay, is that really true? And if it is, what is this? And how did this happen? And so what I want to tell you is she had sons and she didn't want to die and leave them. So she said, what the hey? Let's see if this works. What the Louise hey? What have I got to lose? Which is what I say to people sometimes. What have you got to lose? Try it. You may enjoy it. Your life may totally turn around instead of you going, that stuff doesn't work. Try it. Because I want to tell you what she did, and I've got this on my phone because I saved it because I use it with people sometimes when they come in my office and tell me how sick they are. And I understand that. I have been there too. I was with my mother for hours the other day, listening on and on about sickness and stuff, and I finally just said, I can no longer listen to this. After 2 hours, I can no longer listen to this. You know, this is not my belief system, and I love you, and I've got to go. Because I also know how important it is to keep my thoughts clear. Does that make sense? So if I'm with somebody and they're talking about how sick and decrepit they are, eventually I'm going to go, I can't take that in anymore. I want you to listen to these words from Myrtle Fillmore. It flashed upon me that I might talk to the life in every part of my body and have it do just what I wanted. I began to teach my body and got marvelous results. I told the life in my liver that it was not torpid or inert, but full of vigor and energy. Wow. I told the life in my stomach that it was not weak or inefficient, but energetic, strong, and intelligent. I told the life in my abdomen that it was no longer infested with ignorant ideas of disease. Whoa. But put there by myself and by my doctors. Do you hear that? Yeah. But that it was all a thrill with the sweet, pure, wholesome energy of God. Just take that in for me. I told my limbs that they were active and strong. I told my eyes that they did not see of themselves, but they expressed the sight of spirit. And that they were drawing on an unlimited source. I told them that they were young eyes, clear, bright eyes, because the light of God shone right through them. I need to work on that. I told my heart that the pure love of Jesus Christ flowed in and out through its beatings, and that all the world felt its joyous pulsation. You hear the way this woman talked? I went to all the life centers in my body and spoke words of truth to them, words of strength and power, and I asked their forgiveness for the foolish, ignorant course that I had pursued in the past, when I condemned them and called them weak, inefficient, and diseased. How do you breathe? I'm not up here to tell you how to live your life, but I'm up here to share with you that this woman healed herself of tuberculosis and everything else that was going on with her. And this is back in the late 1800s. And she, in her home, every day had people knocking on the door saying, I want to know what you did. I want to understand what you were doing. And so 2 or 3 times a week, she sat in the silence in her home with people that wanted to come and sit with her and pick up on that vibration. And her and Charles began teaching people a different way to think. That's what unity is about. It is first about healing your body. It is then about healing your mind. It is then about healing your life. So what is this thing? A heart. I'm here to tell you today that it's more than just a pump, but we're going to talk about that for a minute. I want you to look at this. It beats 4,000 times an hour. Did you know that? That's a lot of beating. It beats 96,000 times a day. That's a lot. And you don't even have to tell it to do that. It just does it. It beats 670,000 times in a week. Wow! Isn't that amazing? Yes. Are you not amazed by what goes on inside your body? That's just the heart. 37 million times in a year. Wow. 2.7 billion in a lifetime, thereabouts. And I'm here to tell you that all that is wonderful, but it is more than that. It is hugely more than that. Many of you have heard about heart math, which is a class that we will have in the late summer on Wednesday nights. I just say that to say, if you are open to the possibility to understanding that your heart is more than a pump, and that there are exercises and ways for you to heal yourself and to heal relationships and to heal lots of other things in your world, and to be clearer about how you're showing up. This book was written by a doctor who actually is on part of the team of the Heart Math team. And he wrote a book called The Heart's Code, Tapping the Wisdom and Power of One Heart, of our heart energy. And one of the things that he wrote about that's in this book that's so interesting is he wrote about heart transplant patients. And how that after someone got a new heart, they started having remembrances of things that they had not ever really done. They started desiring certain foods that they had never eaten before. What is the heart? It's much more than a pump. Do you know that scientists at Heart Math have found brain cells, the same cells that are in your brain, in the heart? Your heart thinks. Your heart helps you make decisions. Why do you think in unity, lots of us ask you to drop those 18 inches to your heart space during meditation? This is where the real deal is. We in Western culture walk around with a stick right here and just deal with this up here. We're heads, talking heads. And so again, if you want to ask me why I'm a unity minister and I'm not against any of the other New Thought or anybody else's church, I found a heart in unity. And heart is where healing happens on every level of your life. Heart. So here's a heart math picture. The heart is more powerful than the brain. The heart is about 100,000 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. Can you hear that? These people that do this research are medical doctors. They deal with this all the time. And you see this energy, we talked about this a few weeks ago, all of that is around you right now. And so the people you're sitting next to, you're ooching into the middle of theirs, and they're ooching into the middle of yours. And sometimes that's lovely. And sometimes it ain't. You know what I mean? Have you ever been around somebody and you felt, ooh, Lord, that's a little spiky. Wonder what that is. Ooh, that person's trying to suck me into the middle of something, but I don't want to be sucked into the middle of that. You're in their vortex. You got it?
Yeah.
Be mindful that when you enter a room, you've already entered. 5, 8, 10 feet before you, you're already in there.
Yeah.
Yes, you're Merkaba. That's for a different Sunday, and probably a different workshop. Yeah. But yes, all of that energy is flowing around you. So what can we do with that information? 5 years ago, my mother got extremely ill and went to the hospital. And the doctors were calling, and my daddy was calling, and I was working at Pennington Elementary, and I was like, I can't get there. And he said, honey, your mother's about to die. And so I ran into Carolyn Wood, who was the principal, and I said, I'm going. My mother is dying, and we've got to go to the hospital. And when I got there, she couldn't even hardly breathe. Her valve, one of her valves were leaking. They had all this team of really smart doctors in there, and they were saying we could put a pig valve in. I was like, oh, that's exciting. Woo-hoo. What that's going to be. I know that that's what they do, but you know, I'm like thinking my mama with a pig valve. Okay. And then they said, we believe we can repair this. And so, no, to make a very long story short, she went through that surgery. When she came out, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody come out of heart surgery. They have air blown in them so that they can do all the stuff they have to do. And she looked, my mother is probably 75 or 80 pounds, wringing wet, about 5 foot tall. She looked like she weighed 250, 300 pounds. That was hard. I was like, woo. My son Austin, who was 16 at the time, said, I want to go in and see me, Ma. I said, he said, I'm going. I don't know if she knew that he was in the room that time, but he went up and touched her hand. And these are the words that the heart doctor said to us. Technology saved her life, but her heart's desire, because she had said she wanted to see Austin graduate from high school. He said her heart's desire to see her grandson graduate has given her a desire to live, and that's what's going to make her heal. Not technology. Can you take that in? So again, what is your heart? Because my mother is, I can't say she's 100% fine, but she's alive and well and doing amazing things. So what is your heart? What are you? I am beloved, beloved I am. What does that mean? What is your heart's desire? Delight thyself also in the Lord. The Lord is what? Law. And he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. What does that mean to you? Because if you live from the old paradigm, it's like there's some man out there on a cloud. If I pray enough, hard enough, right enough, he's going to give me what I'm asking for. The unity way of looking at that is, delight thyself also in universal laws. And those universal laws at work through my thoughts and my words and my emotions and my actions are going to gift me what? The desires of my heart. People, that's basic, fundamental, day one, step one, unity. That's what it's about. What do I desire most in my heart, and am I willing to be in alignment with that, with my thoughts, with my words, with my intentions, with my emotions? Am I willing? Or am I going to fight this cold? breathe. Because we all have something. We all have something that is ours. It may be sickness, illness in our bodies. It may be situations in our life that we wish would be different. What is the desires of your heart? So another thing in that book, Heart Math, says that when we go to the doctor, and this is just about the heart, and I've read a lot about it because of my mother and because of Jody, because I didn't even know Jody had heart issues. She didn't want a whole lot of us to know until she got into surgery, and then they couldn't do anything. And then I realized the extent of what was going on with Jody. And quite interestingly, Jody and my mother paralleled. Exactly. So when we look at cardiovascular issues, heart issues, this is just one issue in our world around our bodies. These are all the things that doctors tell you have to do with issues of your heart. Anybody heard about any of this stuff? You want to see what Heart Math says? My mother might have not survived her surgery if she hadn't been holding on to the fact that I'm going to stay alive and see Austin graduate from high school. Does that make sense? Some people in our world today choose to kill themselves because they are hopeless. Things go on in our world because we are hopeless. And you know why that is? Because we have lost the desires of our heart. I watch it. Day in and day out. I work with people individually. I work right now with a bunch of women who are trying desperately to get pregnant. And their desires are to have children, but they are focused on one way that it will happen. Does that make sense? And it's not for me to make them shift their ideas about how it's going to happen, but it's for me to begin to tell them to open the windows to divine mind, because the desires of my heart can come many different ways. Do we understand that in here? Because sometimes the how is none of my business. In fact, the way I live my life, 100% of the time, the how is none of my business. The desires of my heart are my intentions, but how Holy Spirit brings them to me are not any of my business, because I can promise you they don't ever come the way I think they're going to come. They always look very different. So I ask you today, as we begin to get ready for February, the month of love. Woohoo! Isn't that exciting? Yeah. Depends, right? Just like the one Nashville meeting I was in yesterday. And I'm always asked to do some sort of activity that helps everybody talk and get to know each other and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de. And we were all talking about love and how to be love in action in Nashville and what to look like, and all of a sudden somebody stands up and says, we want to talk about the elephant in the room. I want to go, Megan Barry. Yeah. But the deal is, sometimes when my heart is broken and I feel hopeless, I might do lots of things. I don't know about you all, trying to make myself feel better. And none of them have ever worked. But I sure tried hard. And I kept on that path for a long, long time. Thinking that if I just do this and this and this and this, instead of going into the silence with the desires of my heart and saying, bring it to me, in such a way that I will be surprised. Anybody remember that affirmation? I'm taking this time to create my day. And I'm affecting the quantum field. Living, loving Spirit, show me a sign that you paid attention and bring it to me in such a way that I will be surprised and that I will know that it is from you. That's a powerful affirmation. Powerful. So this is the book that we are focusing on a little bit in our lessons on Sunday morning, because our theme is to leave a legacy of love. But what I know about us as human beings is I've got to work on me first. How many of you 100% every day realize that I am beloved, beloved I am? I don't see anybody saying that. Because some days I don't feel that. But you know what I think some days? Well, it's Judy's fault. Or it's somebody else's fault. Or Enoch Fuzz didn't appreciate me yesterday the way I think he should, so it's his fault. That's easy, people. Then I don't have to do any work. I can keep blaming everybody else for the way I feel, and I don't feel loved, and yeah. Or I can affirm what is true. I am a beloved child of God. I am beloved, beloved I am. Do you know when you walk into a room with that kind of energy, things shift? Yes. They do. Immediately. So Charles Fillmore, in his intellectual mind, says the way to get to this is through denials and affirmations. Hear me, I'm not a big denial person. But there are some that work well if you need them. Because part of this book that we're looking at is talking about thriving in life's crises. Okay? How to be loved no matter what. And so sometimes that's hard. So these two denials are the best ones that I've ever found. If you need a denial for something that's going on in your outer world that you cannot seem to get off your brain. Does that make sense? You have no power over me. Feels really good to say. That can be to a person, a situation, an organization, anything. You have no power over me. That can be to a disease in your body. You have no power over me. Or, I am greater than this. That's the one we learned in class on Wednesday night back at the end of the year. I am greater than this. Does that make sense? Giving some of you time to take that picture. So we are going to do our mudra in a moment, because I love it, and because it helps us get into that place. But before we do that, I want to add two statements that you will know, because we affirmed them this morning. I am beloved. I am beloved. I see some of you still staring. This is a participatory thing. I am beloved. Putting your right hand over your heart, and then you're patting it with the left hand. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. I am beloved. You feel that? Beloved, I am. Okay. We're going to do that at the beginning and at the end of our mudra. Okay? So that we know that that's what we're affirming, and then we're adding some other words here. So everybody stand up with me. Ready? We're going to start with I am beloved. Beloved, I am. Ready? I am beloved. Beloved, I am. Then I'm here now. I am here now. Now, before we keep going, think about that. You just affirmed that you were beloved, so you are here in this spot with your feet on the ground, affirming that you're beloved, and you're right here right now. Is that good? You get that? So I am here now. I connect to the one presence and one power and awaken the divine spark within me. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I am open to receive the wisdom of the universe. I ask to be loved. I share this love with others, and I am at peace. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. We're going to do it again. But just check in with yourself. You feel that? And do you feel how powerful it is to add that first part? Because you are affirming that you know you're a divine child of God before you even do this. Okay? I am beloved. Beloved, I am. I am here now. I connect to the one presence and one power and awaken the divine spark within me. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I am open to receive the wisdom of the universe. I ask to be loved. I share this love with others, and I am at peace. I am beloved. Beloved, I am. Namaste.
This is one of my favorite Broadway songs. I never did the show, but Stephen Sondheim is one of my favorite composers, writers. Somebody hold me too close. Somebody hurt me too deep. Somebody sit in my chair and ruin my sleep and make me aware of being alive. Being alive. Somebody need me too much. Somebody know me too well. Somebody pull me up short and put me through hell and give me support for being alive. Make me alive. Make me alive. Make me confused. Mock me with praise. Let me be used. Vary my days, but alone is alone, not alive. Somebody crowd me with love. Somebody force me to care. Somebody let me come through. I'll always be there, as frightened as you, to help us survive. Being alive, being alive, being
Charles, thank you so much, and thank you, Reverend Denise. What a great service this has been. It is that wonderful time to feel alive and in the flow by giving back to our spiritual community with our tithes and offerings and our gifts. If you'll take those in your hand and say the offering affirmation with me, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
those of you that are prayer chaplains, we will have lunch in the Namaste Cafe before we start our training. So just breathe. Living, loving Spirit, we are here as one, remembering our oneness with all creation and with each other in this sanctuary, in this very moment. Reminding ourselves that I am beloved, beloved I am. And knowing that as we go and put that energy out into the universe, that same love energy comes back to us, heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, for that's the law, and so it is. Amen.
Ooh, I tell you what, I don't know about you, but this service today just kind of got me right between the eyes, right here. That's where it got me. So over the course of the next 6 weeks of winter, if you need a little more of that, we'll keep the lights on for you. Come on back and see us. Let's stand together and join hands and sing.
Love train, good shoulder. Okay. Grab your head, kick one on the left. She wants to meet you, Colette. Yeah. Friday. Oh, sorry. You spend more waking hours with him than I do.